Hi, this is Eric with BC Gurus, and this is part 4 of web forms, and this video deals with custom fields. So a lot of the times you need something beyond one of the built-in fields, such as a phone number or address, and you want to define your own options on that form. And so in order to do that, BC allows you to create pretty much any kind of a custom field you can think of. And custom fields are a little bit different than the contact fields. Instead of being added to the contact records, it's added to what's called a case record. And each form submission will create a new case record and attach it to the same contact. So unlike contact fields, when you resubmit a form, a new case is created. The old case is not updated. Just like the other fields, they can be made optional or mandatory as you choose. And then for each of your custom fields, you're going to have to define a few more options. You've got to give it a label and select what kind of data the field's going to store. And then for the list options, or for the list field types, you're going to have to define what options are part of the list. And you'll see that in a minute. So just a quick overview of some of the options you have. For just plain old text where the user can enter anything they want, you've got a single line field or a multi-line field. And for the lists, they can be categorized in two ways. The lists where the user can select only one option, such as a drop-down list or a radio button list. And then you also have the multiple option list where the user might end up selecting more than one choice. So a checkbox list, or a list box list, which you don't see all that often, but they are out there. And then there are some special fields, things where you want to collect a date. There's a field that's very much like a text box, except it only allows the input of a number. We don't use that field very much because there are some significant drawbacks to it, but it is there. And there's also things like the image verification field. So if you've ever filled out a form where you've got to type in those characters, they're very annoying for the user, but they prevent malicious spam bots from submitting your forms and creating a bunch of junk spam records in your CRM. So let's go ahead and jump back into our admin area and see how these fields are set up and kind of how they work. So we're back in our admin area on our test web form that we've been working with so far. And if we scroll down to the bottom here, you can see we've got the custom field section, and this is just below the contact fields. Custom fields show up on all the different tabs, but they're always the same field. There's no relation to these tabs up here. So let's go down to custom fields, and we'll just start with the basic kind of workhorse of custom fields, the text string, which is just a single line text box. So when you click on one of these, it's going to open up a pop-up, and it's going to ask you to give the field a name. So we can call this field just my custom field here. And you can see right here we've got the checkbox indicating whether or not we want to make this field mandatory for the user to fill out or not. So for a text string, that's all there is to it. We can just click save, and that's going to add that there. For the list fields, we can do something like a drop-down list, and those work pretty similar, but you've got a few more options. You still have to give it a field name, so we'll just do my drop-down. And down here, part of this this pop-up, it's asking us to define what items are going to be part of the drop-down. So we'll just call this guy item 1, and then if we want to add another field, we can click the plus, and it'll give us another box. So we can do this as item 2, and we'll make item 3 as well. And when you're done with that field, you can just click save, and it's going to give you the drop-down list. And even in the preview pane, you're able to see what that's going to look like with your items on there. And again, you've got the same mandatory and delete options. You can move these up and down. So same capabilities there. And then finally, I think we'll go ahead and add one list field so you can kind of see what that is, or one of the list boxes that allows a multiple select. So we can choose a checkbox list, and we'll call this just my checkbox. And finally, we'll give it a couple items as well. And the last field I'm going to add, just because it has some special user interface features to it, is the date time field. So this is the field you're going to use whenever you want to collect some sort of a date input from the customer. So we'll just call this my date time. Now you can see the interface here. When you click on it, you're going to get this calendar pop up, and that's what's going to be displayed to the user. So just a quick example of that, and then we'll go ahead and save the form. Now this is the same form we've been working with, and it's already inserted as a module on our page. So if we go back to our test page and reload this guy up, you can scroll down here and you can see it's gone ahead and added our custom fields. And in our single line text, we can type whatever we want, and of course in the drop down you just pick an item, and the checkbox items will allow you to select none or multiple options. So if you want a multi-option box, that's how you do that. And then finally the date time. The date time field does not allow by default the user to type anything into it, and when they click, it's just going to go ahead and pop that calendar up for them. And you can see that here. They can select the month and the year, and then selecting, they can click a date. And notice the particular format that Business Catalyst uses to represent dates. We've got the day, then the month, name, and then the 4-digit year. That's pretty universal throughout all parts of Business Catalyst, and generally that's going to be what you want to use when you're trying to store date times. And of course, if you're using the date time field type, it's actually going to save that. So I'm going to submit this form so we can see kind of how the records themselves are created and stored and managed within Business Catalyst. And now that we've got that filled out, I'm going to go ahead and submit this. And just for future reference, keep note of this field. I've got test custom one in there. So we'll go ahead and submit this form, and I'm going to go back and submit it a second time and just update this field so we can see some results here. And so now I've submitted this form twice, and if I had changed things like the home address and the home phone, those would have updated my contact record. But for these custom fields, as I was saying in the slides, it creates what's called a case record. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Now, I'm just on my contact details screen for my contact, and again, there's many different ways you can get to your case information. And then to click on the Cases tab, and when I do this, it's going to take me to a screen that just shows me a list of cases that this specific contact has filled out. The other way you can see some of your cases is just the Cases general section of the CRM area, and this is going to show you all of the cases that any customer has filled out. And again, you can filter this list by all sorts of different things. And if you wanted to see the details of that case, you can just click these view icons, same as clicking the view action from the specific customer cases list. So we'll click on one of these, and you're brought to the case details screen. Now, the case details screen looks a lot like the contact details screen. It's just showing you information about the case. The subject is always going to match the name of the form. So that's one of those areas where it's important to have your forms named accurately so you can kind of make sense of the data. You've got a case number, which identifies this specific form submission. There's some statuses you can set and things like that. And if you want to actually see the data on the form, you're going to have to scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see we've got test web form here. This is the case name again, and you can see the different custom fields I've defined and the values I've filled in. So this is test custom 2, so this was the second one, and you can see the options for my single drop down list item, and then the multiple items are separated by commas there, and then again the date time is being stored in that format. And again, you can come down here and make changes to this data if you really want to, but it really should be a record of what the customer filled out. Now, there's all sorts of information in here. You can find the date the form that was submitted, so that's often helpful. Tasks and notes and some of this other stuff is more specific to the CRM, so we're not going to get into that in this video series. But that's how you can kind of see that. Now, if we go back to our cases list up here at the top, we'll take a look at the other form submission. Now, these are, it's hard to tell since it's the same date, but these are ordered in reverse chronological order. So the most recent case that I filled out will be at the top. The earlier cases will be at the bottom. So if we click the second item on the list, that should be our first submission. And if we scroll down to the web form information, you can see the custom one, and this was the first time we filled that form out. So that's kind of a quick overview of cases.